It is 12 o'clock on the dot p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It is the 6th day of May, 2024. This is episode 893 of Bitcoin. And the Circle P vendor of choice today is Shishi21M. His in-pub for Nostr will be in the show notes. I don't think he's actually on Twitter anymore. I certainly do not have a Twitter handle for him. But what does he sell? He sells comfrey roots, and he will ship them to you. Not only will he ship them to you, he will take your Bitcoin in trade for his comfrey roots. And you want comfrey in your yard. I have done an entire half show about that. It is episode 726 of Bitcoin. And again, that is 726, episode 726. It's all about comfrey. You listen to that and you will have a deep, deep, deep understanding of why you want this plant in your garden. It's a perennial. Once you plant it, you'll never get rid of it. And because these plants are sterile, they only grow where they're planted. They do not spread. If you want them to spread, go listen to episode 726. And yes, you want them to spread. I'm just saying, medicine. What else does it do? It's a good medicine for scrapes, bruises, light cuts. You don't want to do deep cuts because it heals so well that it will actually heal the cut from the top down wherever it's contacted. And yeah, you don't want that. You don't want to use it on deep cuts. But bruises, spraying, scrapes, abrasions, poison ivy, poison oak, that kind, rashes and stuff works really, really well for that. Also, it is one of the plants that produces the most biomass. In fact, it is arguable. There's an argument to be made that it is the plant, the best plant on the face of the earth to give the most biomass per acre, per year, every year, year over year. Just keeps getting better. You can get all of this and pay for it with Bitcoin from Shishi21M at protonmail.com if you want to email him. That is SHI21M at protonmail.com, or get a hold of him on Nostr. Again, his InPub will be in the show notes, and you can find any Nostr client, plug in the InPub, and you'll find Shishi. Tell him I sent you, that he's part of the Circle P, or he knows he's part of the Circle P, but tell him that you heard it in the Circle P, because he will give me a cut of any proceeds that he gets, and you want to get this plant. Again, this plant is permanent. You buy it once, dude. So it's totally, totally worth it. All right, let's see. Where am I at here? I'm going to take this and we're going to start with the news. The bad news. Because there's always bad news. It's Monday. Did you think you were going to get off lightly? No, I don't think. Buddy boy, Robinhood Crypto just got a Wells notice from the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. So if you wanted to know why we started out the day in the morning, depending on where you are in the world, with some red candles, this is probably why. Now, they got the notice on May the 4th, but the news just broke about it this morning. Here's what we got so far. This is out of Reuters. Retail trading platform Robinhood Markets said on Monday that it has indeed received an enforcement action from the United States Securities and Exchange Commission on May the 4th over crypto tokens traded on its platform. Now, this is specifically about crypto. I don't think this Wells notice has much to do with the debacle that was going down with GameStop and AMC, when they took the buy button away from everybody and all you could do was sell it because all the people supporting those companies were ever-loving minds, where all of that market manipulation should have caused a Wells notice. No. This is about crypto. The company said that it received a so-called Wells notice, which the SEC issues when it's planning to bring law enforcement actions against people. Such notices do not necessarily mean the company engaged in wrongdoing, however. Quote, we firmly believe that the assets listed on our platform are not securities and we look forward to engaging with the SEC to make clear just how weak any case against Robinhood Crypto would be, Dan Gallagher, Chief Legal Compliance and Corporate Affairs Officer at Robinhood, said. The SEC has adopted a tough stance toward the digital currency industry, arguing most cryptocurrency tokens are securities and subject to its registration, while crypto firms have accused it of overreach. Now, the regulator declined to comment on the enforcement action notice. Coinbase, the world's largest publicly traded crypto exchange, has also previously argued that crypto assets, unlike stock and bonds, do not meet the definition of securities. Bullshit. A position held by the vast majority of the crypto industry. Yeah, that's because the vast majority of the crypto industry is engaged in selling people unregistered security. Let's just be clear. Now, the SEC is engaged in a legal fight against Coinbase, and last year it said that the crypto exchange facilitated trading of at least 13 crypto that should have been registered with the SEC as security. Robinhood crypto customers deposit and withdraw cryptocurrencies to and from the custodial platform, and also routes customer orders to liquidity providers based on the lowest price. It has been attempting for nearly 2 years to register with the SEC. Last year, it removed digital tokens Solana, Cardano, and Polygon from the platform. So in trying to comply with the SEC, the Robinhood gets paid with a Wells notice. We're going to take action against you. It's a Wells notice. So there's two things at work here. One, this, I do not, like I said before, I do not believe this has anything to do with GameStop and the selling that we saw while the pandemic was in course. Second, the issue here is that cryptocurrencies, the vast majority, are indeed unregistered securities. They all pass the Howey test, except for Bitcoin. And it's possible, maybe a couple of others don't. I'm not even going to mention their names. But 99.99% of all this garbage are unregistered securities. So why is the SEC just now engaging in all? Well, the United States federal government is firmly in they fight you phase. So here's what I ask, is that all Bitcoin developers, Lightning developers, Cash developers do the following. Stop using your real name. And two, stop trying to build companies around it to make. I know that that is ridiculous. People have to feed themselves. They have to pay the bills. I get it. I get it. We are going to have to develop a completely new model. It's going to have to be some kind of value for value model. And it cannot be based on sending checks to an address or making a phone call to a phone over it. I don't know, like Cali Zcash or Cashew call it. It can't be you cannot give away your sniping position. That's what I look at. When I see developers in this space, what I see are snipers that are basically taking pop shots and doing a lot of damage to the beast. But when you give your position away, an email address, a snail mail address, a phone number, an address that you can go knock on the door, then you're going to get a Wells notice. You're going to be arrested you're going to go to court. That's the way that the beast is playing its game now, because it's backed into a corner, and this is where the claws come out in fast and furious. Don't want to have nothing to do with a cornered animal. This animal is 100% cornered. You have to keep our distance and start blowing its head off from far, far, far away and from deep, deep, deep within blinds. Do not be seen. Do not use your real name. Do not have an office. Do not, if anybody works for you, figure out a way that it's not under a corporate structure, because corporate and company structures, LLCs, doing DBAs or doing business as, all of that shit has always been designed to put a location on the sniper. Don't use it. Get as far away from it as you can. Robinhood, I don't know what's going to happen to him, but we've got other fish to fry. We've got, in fact, 1 billion fish to fry. Bitcoin network tops 1 billion in total transactions processed. Bitcoin magazine, Vivek Sen. The Bitcoin network has reached a major milestone, processing its 1 billionth transaction yesterday. That achievement comes 15 years and 4 months after Bitcoin's Genesis block was mined January 3rd, 2009. At an average rate of 178,475 transactions per day over its 5,603-day lifespan so far, Bitcoin has demonstrated the ability to handle significant volume securely without any centralized intermediaries whatsoever. Many early critics argued nobody would use Bitcoin, but today, the network handles daily transaction volumes on par with major payment giants. This milestone also comes on the heels of Bitcoin's all-time high above $73,000 in March. The excitement around the latest halving event and new protocols like, ordinals and runes have driven surges in activity. All told, April 23rd saw a single-day transaction record of above 926,000 transactions, and while volume has moderated from those highs, Bitcoin continues averaging 600,000 plus transactions in May of 2024 alone. By reliably facilitating 1 billion transactions in just 15 years, Bitcoin has proven its resilience and capacity at scale, with accelerating adoption poised to reach the next billion transactions at an even faster pace. So 1 billion transactions. Congratulations, everybody. Mesdames and messieurs, you did well. Good job. Grayscale is finally figuring it out. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll find out something about Grayscale's fees in this particular piece written by Ryan Ozawa out of Decrypt. Grayscale Bitcoin ETF snaps its losing streak and actually pulls in $63 million. Amazing, isn't it? The Grayscale Bitcoin Trust ETF finally drew in more cash than it lost, snapping an 11-week streak with a positive gain. $63 million, according to CoinGlass. Congratulations! GBTC has been seen so many investors cashing out since competing spot Bitcoin ETFs were approved in January. Its outflows alone often weighed down the entire nascent space. Quote, "Holy crap! GBTC had inflows today," tweeted Eric Balchunas on Twitter. Their 80-day-ish streak is finally over. I had to run my eyes and double-check the data, but it's true. He added, on a scale of 1 to 10, how we're so back is this? Oh, for GBTC is still the largest Bitcoin spot ETF with over $18.7 billion in asset under management, coupled with about 297,000 Bitcoin, but constant outflows allowed newer competitors to close the gap, and the BlackRock iShares Bitcoin Trust, IBIT, has $17.2 billion of assets under management Tuesday. So there you go. GBTC finally had a net positive day. I mean, what was it? What did the piece say? 80 days? 80 days of total loss. Just nothing but outflows. 80 straight days. Starting January the 11th. I mean, it was just immediate sell on GBTC. Now, finally, they finally reversed it. How will that hold? Well, I don't know. See, the Wells notice is still causing some red candles. So we'll have to see what GBT does today, but at least they finally snapped the solid losing streak. Okay, all right. So that's pretty much it for the majority of the major pieces of the news. I've got this show divided up into two places. I've got some other news, but I want to put this other news, kind of collapse it all together on the back end. So we're not quite done yet. But before we go to the numbers, NOS Drive. Your Nostr events on Google Drive. No, this isn't an advertisement. I want to show y'all this. All right, so here is, for the guys over in Zap.Stream, Real Joe says, "Good evening." Well, good evening, sir. I'm glad to see you here. I saw this, and I cannot. Oh, God, I can't. I think it was Alex Gleason brought this to my attention on Noster, and then of course a couple. Pretty sure it was Alex Gleason of Activity Pub fame that brought this to my attention. Yes, what's going on here is that your Google Drive, not my Google Drive, not anybody else's Google Drive, if you've got an NPub, NOS Drive allows you to cannibalize or parasitize your Google Drive to act as a storage medium and a relay. It kind of, NOS Drive kind of connects your Google Drive with a relay and your NPub, so that whenever it is that you write a note, that note is copied through the relay back to your Google Drive. Not to my Google Drive, not to Alex Gleason's Google Drive, your Google Drive. And of course, why would you do this? Google Drive. My God. Google is all kinds of evil. I don't think that this is what people. Let me just kind of break it down for just a sec. In the screen, you see you can, for those not looking, it's nosdrive.ap, nosdrive.app, NOSDRIVE.app. And if you've got a Google Drive, you can log in with your Google stuff and then pop in your NPub, nosdrive.app, and it will set it up for you. You've got Google Drive, right? Okay, so that said, that's what people are looking at. My shit over here. I set up nosdrive.app. It just says that my NOS drive is connected, but up here in the upper right corner, it shows my the emblem or the the icon that I use for my Google account, because I do log into a bunch of stuff with my Google account, but I try not to log into anything that means a whole lot to me. I will test stuff with my Google login, except Google Mail. I have to log into Google Mail. In either event, what's going on is that now, every time I send a note in whatever client that I'm using, of course I make sure that I've got relay nosdrive.app/relay. That's the address for the relay. nosdrive.app/relay. If I've got that, my client's relay list, and I'm logged in, my Noster client, and I'm logged in to my Google Drive. Well, actually, I don't have to be logged into my Google Drive. Once it's all set up, it just does it. But if I'm logged into my Google Drive, every time I send a note, that note gets copied to my Google Drive. The entire event, all the metadata that's around it, time it was sent, what the message was, all kinds of stuff. And one of the first pieces of pushback that I got when I put this back out on Noster to kind of boost its visibility was, why would I do that? Fair question, brother. So let's look at it from my point of view. Do I need this? No, not really. Is it good to have? In a way, kind of, only because it backs up all my notes directly to my own Google Drive, which I have access to. Technically speaking, nobody else does, but we'll keep the fact that that's kind of bullshit. I don't trust Google at all. So now all my notes are in my Google Drive. At least the ones that I've written since I made the attachment of my input. If something were to happen, I would have a copy of all my notes directly on my own. Okay, so that's sort of why you want it, so that you can make sure that safeguarded in case worst case scenario happens, right? I don't trust Google, but what I find the most fascinating part about this entire thing is this. It's not as much that I have the ability to cache my notes that I send on Noster directly to my Google Drive, which I have full control over. It's the fact that it was done in the first place, that somebody figured out how to parasitize the legacy digital data storage system. This is where I'm going. I think that it is necessary now to wrap the tendrils of Nostr and Bitcoin and Cash and Lightning Network, all the freedom tech that you can imagine, and think of it as digestive tendrils that wrap around the dead and the dying to ingest them. And there's a saying that kind of better illustrates this. Let me see if I can bring this up. Hold on for a second. And this is going to be a better way. We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Resistance is futile. Now, that's what this is. This is us cannibalizing and parasitizing everything legacy and forcing it. We're adding their technological distinctiveness to our own. We are trapping them. We are cannibalizing them. We are carving little bits and pieces off of their bodies, and we are doing with that material whatever we wish to. Early stages. Can it backfire? Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't trust Google with my data at all. But the fact that we were able to turn a Google Drive into a storage device for something that I do think matters, Nostr, that is a warning shot across the bow of legacy digital bullshit. All right, so that's why it's important. Okay, let's run the numbers. CNBC Futures and Commodities, West Texas Intermediate is up after taking a hammering over the weekend and the end of last week. It is up 0.75 of a point to $78.70. Brent North Sea is likewise up 2/3 of a point to $83.50. Natural gas is up 2.8% to $2.20 a thousand cubic feet. Wow, it hasn't been this high in quite a while. Gasoline is up 1.3% to $2.58 a gallon. All the shiny metal rocks are doing well. Gold is doing very well, as is silver. Gold is up 1.15%. Silver is up 3.78% to $27.70. Wow. Platinum is up slightly. Copper is up 1.1. Palladium is up 3%. Let's get into the dashboard already here. I don't even give a shit about what legacy market. $63,050 for a price of one Bitcoin. That is $1.24 trillion market cap. You can purchase 27.3 ounces of shiny metal rocks, of which there are 19,694,661 and 7.74 BTC in circulation at the time. A third of a BTC is being taken for average fees on a per block basis. I think that should do that. Let's get in the middle, find out what idiocy is going on here. Wow, we're back up. 242 blocks are carrying close to 200,000 unconfirmed transactions waiting to clear at high priority rates of 34 Satoshis per VByte. Low priority, 28 Satoshis per VByte, going to get you in. And anything under 5.5 is going to purge from memory around the world. 589.2 exahashes per second is what I'm getting for the average hash rate out of memory.space/mining. And from King's Cross, episode 892 of Bitcoin and natural gas or nat gas immersion boosted me a big row of sticks, 11,111 sats, full row of sticks, full palindrome. Thank you, sir. No, thank you, as I say, what he said. Letter 6173 boosted 5,000, said nothing. Dubrovko was 1690, said, quote, any tool to be used against organized criminals will eventually be used against the populace. Yes, it will. Also, he goes on to say, also, the United States is pulling the same truck they used on the indigenous people, starve them out. Yeah, I've thought about that a lot lately. Pies with 420 says, thank you, sir. No, thank you. God's death with 337 says, you. And Amiram says, with 100 says, always appreciate your content. Thanks for what you do. I appreciate that. The Bird with 100 says, what's the donation page to help them? He's talking about the King Ranch. There is no donation as of yet. I will talk to their lawyer about it at one other, but don't hold your breath. Cross your fingers, but don't hold your breath. Way to Legacy. They are in the middle of the shit right now. Well, I will ask her if there's something that we can do on our end, but she is not, I guarantee she does not have the time to mitigate learning a new technology. So just, again, don't hold your breath, but cross your fingers. Pies with 100 says, you can absolutely read my boost from the last show. Okay. Go do that. It's a, bit personal, but if he said it's okay, I want to make sure that I am doing my bit for. Good Lord. Come on. May not even do here. From Indict Us All. I've got. And okay. So back on Indict Us All, which was episode 891 of, and Pies boosted 420 says, I've done some serious state time. While I have corrected my life since, and it was go and never want to see the inside of a jail cell ever again. If you told me that I could do 3 years for $1.3 billion, I would do it standing on my head, shackled 23 hours a day in solitary confinement, with one stipulation. It had to be paid in BTC at the price of the day I start my sentence. So that's why I didn't want to just blurt it out there, because, trying to be proper and respectful to the people that are giving me their time, talent, and treasure, which I asked for again today. The only way this works going forward, not just for the podcasters, but I think for all of us in this space, we're going to have to switch to value for value. So if you think that what I do has value, then value it the way that you think it should be valued. Just use Satoshis. Send me boostograms. Or, if you're sending like just 10 sats a minute on streaming through a podcasting 2.0 application, then make it 20 or 50, something like that. Whatever it is that you think that it has value. If it has value, it's your determination what that value is, not mine. I'm not going to suggest a minimum, a minimum donation. That's just stupid. It's whatever you think. So what I have to do is make a premium product. And I honestly think that I'm not there yet. I really do. I believe that I'm not at premium product yet. And I can tell by the donations because they're low. They just are. The only thing that I can do about that is to figure out why I'm not bringing you the value I think I should be bringing you, because I'm not seeing it coming in on the side. That's not really a bitch fest. That's one of the ways that value for value works. By basically having, a trickle of Satoshis come out the other end of the pipe, I have to wonder, what am I not doing? What am I not doing for y'all that would say, this is high value? This is 100,000 sat boost. This is 150,000 sat boost. When I get there, I know I'm at premium product. So it works in the value for value model works in so many ways. It honestly, it helps, pay the bills. It helps buy equipment, but it also helps me figure out what it is that you want. And the advertising model, we have to do value for value, but now that is going to have to seep into the developer space for Bitcoin, Lightning, eCash, and the rest of the have. because they're all being targeted by the federal governments of nations around the world, not just the United States. They're going to have to go to that model too. They cannot have offices, they cannot have phone numbers, they cannot have emails. Only way this shit gets done moving forward, I guarantee you, is with stuff like Nostr and streaming Satoshis, boosting Satoshis, and zaps. That's the way that this is going. It's the only way. It's the only way I see going. All right. That's the weather report. Welcome to part 2 of the news you can use. I want to bring to you today swarmster.com. That is swarmster.com. SWARMSTR, because, we put STRs at the end of damn near every word in the English language now, much to the chagrin of many Bitcoiners out there. So in zap.stream, I've got the swarmster.com website up, and essentially it's a client like, any other Nostr client, and I'm going to log in, and it allows me to log in with my browser extension, and, of NIP07 type. And, oh, look, there I am. Now I can write a note. Oh, you say, joy, Dave, doesn't everybody do that? Well, yes, but I have the ability to put Giphy GIFs directly into my notes. So I'm just going to say gift. I'm just going to put in gift test because I'm not all that inventive. And I'm going to go down here to the GIF or GIF button, and now I can search Giphy, and we'll just know it's late. And then I'm just going to post it, see what happens. And that's the thing. One of the things that I've been looking for is the ability to post GIFs. That's what I want. That's what I want to see. So now let's go over because it's not showing me. So it's not showing me the note with the GIF. So I'm going to go. I'll just go to my standbys today. I think I'll for some reason Coracle.social, which is Hodlbod's client. It boots once it gets going. It's awesome fast. Oh, look, there it is. Once it gets going, it's awesome fast, but it takes a while and I think it's because I'm using such an old operating system that it's not playing well with my browsers. So Primal is, so there it is. I've got my note up in the zap.stream. It's got GIF test, and then all of a sudden, here's a GIF. I did that through Swarmster. That is swarmster.com. There are other things to it, but now at least we have one client that has, GIFs that you can put directly into your notes without having to go party or a different website and go. That's the way that I've been doing it. Really sucked. Been looking forward to this. Thank God. Now, back into the news, and this is all pretty much going to tie together. Jack Dorsey, been quite a busy boy over the last few days. So first off, let's go with this one from BTC Times. Jack Dorsey commits $21 million to Bitcoin development efforts, and this happened on May the 4th. Jack Dorsey, co-founder of Twitter, donated $21 million to OpenSats, a nonprofit organization, through his Start Small initiative. This donation is part of his broader support for Bitcoin and centralized social media. The allocation of the $21 million donation includes $15 million for the general fund and $5 million for the Nostr fund and $1 million for operational expenses. So $15 million, or rather the $15 million for the general fund. The general fund basically is just general Bitcoin, Lightning, stuff like that. And of course, they've got the Nostr fund, which is just got $5 million from Jack. So that's going to just Nostr. And then $1 million is to keep the lights on at OpenSats. Pay GG, pay GG's underlink a bit, whatever, if they have to sponsor somebody, something, I don't know, maybe travel fees, things like that. Just, operational expenses. So $21 million in. Anyway, these funds are intended to support ongoing and new projects with ecosystem and related technologies. OpenSats has used these funds to further initiatives aimed at fostering open source software environments that support user rights and freedoms. The organization emphasizes the need for infrastructure that prevents the rise of digital authoritarianism. And additionally, OpenSats has added new members to its committee and board to oversee and assess future projects. These strategic steps are part of OpenSat's ongoing efforts to support a variety of roles in the open source community, including software developers, designers, and educators. Dorsey's donation also earmarks funds for a legal defense of Bitcoin developers, which aligns with his ongoing support for the Bitcoin community. Overall, the substantial donation by Dorsey is expected to influence the development of and its establishment as a technological standard, aligning with his vision of a more decentralized internet. Now, this is definitely not going to help feed the feud of all the people that are, kind of coming out against donations. There's a good reason that they're coming out against donations. Lately, I think it's Simisol has been saying this cannot be the model going. It's either Carnage or Simisol. I get their icons confused, but he's right. Whichever he it was, they're right. They're absolutely right. Cannot depend on donations moving forward as because some of these things are not going to provide value. They're not. They're just going to be abandoned. There's a lot of projects, but they all deserve a start. They all deserve a chance, right? And that's where this comes in. But after those donation rounds are over, maybe they never end. I don't know, but it would be delightful if, like Coracle.social, had a revenue model that paid Autobot living wage from the people that are using it because they find value in it. It's a value for value thing. Again, like I said, but either Simisol or Carnage, whoever started kind of beating the drum about the donation thing, they're not wrong. So cut them some slack, listen to what they have to say, and don't assume that they're being mean and nasty and that they're in a really bad mood. They're not. They're just stating facts, right? And to his credit, Pat O'Dell was just stating facts when he's talking about Mike Saylor doesn't want anybody to support open source development. I don't know why. I think it's all bullshit. But I don't really think anybody's actually angry at each other in space, according to about donations and whether or not to support developers. I think they're just saying, this is the way I see this particular situation. And a lot of people get their fur rubbed the wrong way when they see somebody state the truth, because truth is like poetry and nobody fucking likes poetry. That's the way that shit goes. But Jack's not done. No, he's not done. Block is going to invest 10% of Bitcoin profits into BTC each month for the rest of 2024. All right, so this is no bullshit. Bitcoin Block announced its Q1 2024 financial results and unveiled a strategic plan to invest 10% of its gross profit from Bitcoin products into Bitcoin purchases on a monthly basis until the end of the year. Well, this is permanent. I don't know whatever. Quote, we delivered strong results across the company during the first quarter. Gross profit was $2.09 billion, which was up 22% year over year, consistent with the fourth quarter. Adjusted EBITDA, or EBITDA, was $705 million, nearly doubling year over year, and adjusted operating income was $364 million, which was 7x year over year, said Amrita Ajuja, the company's COO and CFO. Cash App generated $80 million of Bitcoin gross profit in the first quarter, or up 59% year over year. The total sale amount of Bitcoin sold to customers, which we recognize as Bitcoin revenue, was $2.73 billion. That was up 26% year over year. The company added that the growth in these Bitcoin numbers was driven by a pricing change made in the prior quarter, Bitcoin inventory price appreciation, and an increase in the average market price of Bitcoin. Block also announced a strategic investment in Bitcoin. In April, the company implemented a dollar cost averaging or average purchase program that will run through 2024. Under the program, Block will be investing 10% of its gross, not net, its gross profit from Bitcoin products into Bitcoin purchases. Quote, Block Incorporated views Bitcoin as an instrument of global economic empowerment. It is a way for individuals around the world to participate in a global monetary system and secure their own financial future. The company currently holds 8,027 BTC on its balance sheet per Bitcoin.net. Recently, Block also launched Square Bitcoin conversion products, which allows merchants to automatically convert a portion of their sales into Bitcoin holdings. And a couple of weeks ago, Block also unveiled plans to offer both a standalone 3 nanometer Bitcoin mining chip and a comprehensive mining system developed by the company. So even in the midst of this current red candle that we've got that has brought Bitcoin price to $62,950, we have this news. Block, in general, their profits are up across the board, looks pretty much like 25% year over year. That's amazing. That's huge. I mean, shit, Boeing wouldn't be able to do that. Boeing might be seeing negative 25% gains here in the next or on a year over year basis. So honestly, good, well done, sir. Holy shit. But again, Jack's not done. Jack Dorsey's Block, we're back to Block, is going to raise $1.5 billion in senior note offerings. Just like Michael Saylor. Anna Paula Pieria from Cointelegraph.com. Fintech firm Block, formerly Square, announced plans on May the 6th to issue $1.5 billion in senior notes through a private placement to qualified institutional investors. The company said in a statement that the terms of the notes, including interest rates and maturity dates, are subject to negotiation with the initial purchasers. Investors permitted to join the round include pension funds, banks, mutual funds, and of course, high net worth individuals. Not you, not the pleb. We suck, remember? So we can't do it because, laws and shit. Whatever. Block's shares rose more than 4% following the announcement, trading at $72.40 at the time of writing. A private placement is a method of raising capital through the sale of securities, such as stocks or notes, to a limited number of investors rather than through a offering. According to Block, funds raised through the sale may be used for the repayment of existing debt, potential acquisitions and strategic transactions, capital expenditures, investments, and working capital. According to Fitch Ratings, Block is well positioned to capitalize on secular growth areas in payments and consumer financial services, end quote. Regarding the fintech debt structure, Fitch noted that Block has relied on the convertible debt market for most of its external capital needs since its initial public offering. As of March 2024, the company had approximately $2.15 billion in outstanding convertible notes, involving credit facility of $775 million available in June of 2028, and $2 billion in senior unsecured notes due in 2026 and then again in 2023. Fitch wrote, quote, the announced debt raise would bring additional debt onto its balance sheet that is expected to ultimately help refinance 2025 through 2026 maturities, while also providing further cash support to its already strong balance sheet. Quote, Block was one of the first public companies to add Bitcoin to its balance sheet, recently noted the firm's co-founder Jack Dorsey in a letter to shareholders. Dorsey also revealed that the company plans to allocate 10% of its gross profit from Bitcoin products every month to Bitcoin purchases. Yes, we know. We just got finished with that. The fintech firm's earnings beat market expectations in the first quarter of 2024. Total gross profit for the first quarter reached $2.09 billion, which was again up 22% from the year ago quarter. The company posted a total revenue of almost $6 billion with per share earnings of 85 cents, well beyond analyst predictions. So, Block seems to be doing well. Except like us, all of us, we don't like this debt structuring stuff because this is what brought us here in the first place. Wouldn't it be ironic if it just so happened that the very way in is the very way out? It's sort of like a roller coaster. The same place that you get on the ride is the same place that they stop and let you off of the ride. Makes sense. Is it going to work that way? I don't know. Every time I see somebody saying, hey, we're going to take on a mountain of debt because, our revenues are top notch, bitches. I don't know. That's why I'm not getting paid the big bucks. I know it's done. I know it's done all the time, but we see when the governments do it, we see the havoc that it wreaks. When private companies do it, if they do it poorly, it screws their shareholders. Will Michael Saylor and Jack Dorsey, will they end up on top with all the debt, all the seniorage notes that they've put out there? Will it come back to bite them in the ass? Shit, brother, I don't know. We will have to wait and see. But Spiral, yet another one of Jack Dorsey's many minions out there walking around doing stuff. Spiral has renewed grants to Bitcoin Xavier and Matt Morehouse. Spiral, an independent Bitcoin-focused entity within the Block ecosystem of companies, renewed grants to Bitcoin and Lightning developers, Bitcoin Xavier and Matt Morehouse. Grant renewal in the document where Coroncus usually lays out what points I need to hit when writing our grant-related tweets. For Bitcoin Xavier, Connor just wrote third renewal. So, congratulations, Bitcoin Xavier, on your third renewal. I wish I knew what it was for, announced Spiral on X. Bitcoin Xavier works on LDK and BDK projects. Yesterday's offsite picnic went very wrong because of ornery goats for our writing team. So, this is the best tweet you're going to get. This is Matt Morehouse's second renewal. One he'll use to improve Lightning security and stability. Disclosures are at morehouse.github.io, announced Spiral in a separate post. Matt Morehouse works on Lightning network security, including test coverage of CLN, Eclair, LDK, LND, auditing Bolt vulnerabilities, reporting bugs, and ensuring fixes. So congratulations to both Mr. Matt Morehouse and Mr. Bitcoin Xavier for getting some more money out of the Block ecosystem companies. Anybody that is, I know we've got enough Bitcoin. There's got to be somebody out there who's got enough money to possibly relax on his or her laurels just for a little bit, not for the rest of their life, just for a little bit, and maybe donate some of their expert time to mentoring some of us plebs on how to make companies with credible revenue models. It seems like it would be, just not easy, but you don't really need anybody to help you. That's what it sort of kind of seems like on the surface. But if there's anybody out there that's listening that knows how to do this, this is what they do. They know more about revenue models than anybody else because they've worked on Wall Street for 25 years. Now they're a dyed-in-the-wool or dyed-in-the-orange wool Bitcoiner, and they want to help. Well, then help us. Put together educational materials. Host Noster Nests for us to ask you questions. How can we actually leverage the best parts of the legacy financial system? The people that didn't want to design systems to just screw everybody else and take all their money. What about the people that were actually fairly credible, approaching, moral and ethical? Because those people do exist. They do. I swear to God, they do exist. There's not many of them left. I think they've been eaten up. But the ones that have survived and are still able to sleep with themselves at night, did not steal Granny's pension check, would you please, please, please offer master classes? I will sign my ass straight up because I want to know what you know. And I will zap your ass some sats for it. All right. That's the morning report, which is now clearly in the afternoon. Dad says jokes. The person who invented the Ferris wheel never met the person who invented the merry-go-round because they traveled in different circles. Get it? All right. There's the show for the day. Final ask: donate to the show. Increase your boost for the Bitcoin and podcast. Help me make this show premium product. Show me some love. Give me some of those good feelings, because when you're banging your head against the wall, the blood gets in your eyes and you kind of can't see straight. But when somebody's saying what you do is valuable, and here I'm going to show you that it's valuable by zapping the shit out of you, giving you boost grams, or streaming, high amounts of Satoshi, all of a sudden that blood has a tendency to get out of your eyes, and you actually sit down and you're making headway. You're making headway. That's what I crave. Every single time I get big boost, like people streaming Satoshi, it's a huge, huge, not boost to the ego, boost to my heart. That always helps. If not, then 5-star reviews on Apple. Takes longer to do than a boost. It really does. Because you got to go over to Apple Podcasts. You got to find the Bitcoin and podcast by typing in Bitcoin. And then you got to figure out what to actually write and then hit the 5-star thing. But if that's what you got, man, I that is way appreciated, because that sets the Bitcoin and podcast rolling in the algorithm. All of the podcast apps, whether they're legacy podcast apps or the podcasting 2.0 apps, which I highly recommend you go get one. You can use Fountain. That's my daily driver, and I love it. But there's Podverse, there's Podfriend, there's like 20 of them, and they're amazing. Sphinx.chat has a podcasting 2.0 podcast app enabled directly in the wallet, and it's a Bitcoin wallet. It was a Bitcoin wallet first, and they dropped a podcast app in there so that they could get people to do boostograms and stream Satoshis and a whole bunch of other stuff. But you get stuff like chapters, you get transcripts, you get all kinds of neat stuff. So consider helping me make this show a more than premium product so I can compete with the big boys, and I will see you on the other side.